What's up? What the hell's the matter with you, man? You're so like you're even feistier than you normally are.
I told you we went to Ocean Prime last night. I had like 4 glasses of wine. Mm-hmm. I'm really sad at the existence that is getting old. Like, I look awful. I feel tired. I had four glasses of wine. That's like nothing. What, like, is this what old age is like? Because, like, I'm never going to make it.
Can I tell you a funny story that I wasn't going to tell you? But
oh boy.
So I interviewed Christian Leitner on Saturday at the Westgate, and he moves a little slow. He moves a little gingerly, and he talked about it. He talked about how.
What is that? Can you what do you mean he moves a little slow? Like he's like in pain?
Yeah. And he talked about it to the crowd because he played 13 years in the NBA, and the wear and tear, the toll it took on his body. He's 55 years old now, but he doesn't move as quickly as you would expect a former great athlete to move. And he was talking about, to the crowd, he was talking about how LeBron James, who I think is in his 22nd NBA season.
And LeBron and I are the same age, I think.
With no signs of slowing down, there's no reason to think he won't play again next year. And what Leitner was saying is when LeBron is like 55, he's barely going to be able to move. And I was giggling. So I'm the one interviewing Leitner. But even while I'm doing the interview, I was giggling to myself. I'm doing it right now. Thinking about you, the wear and tear that you're putting on your body, just constantly stressing about your bets and watching your games and getting yourself just worked up into a tizzy. What are you going to be doing when you're 55, Stewart?
Well, I think the 14 and a half years I lived in Vegas did way more damage to my body than anything else. Mm-hmm. You're out there in the desert with no hydration. You are basically a lizard. And then, oh, by the way, my circadian rhythm might still not be fixed from working all of those nights at the nightclub and then going to the sports book at 9 a.m. for kickoff on Saturdays. 3 hours of sleep, not the most ideal. But I would say now I'm doing better. But I think my recovery used to be so much greater. And that's where the issue is.
When you're 55, are you going to be like moving slowly like Leitner to go to place a wager or to go to get another Viva? Or do you think you're still going to be moving around like you do now? See,
when I'm 55, I better still be. I mean, I've never had to work a manual labor job. Like when you're an athlete or you're a carpenter or you're a mechanic and you're underneath the car all day, like those kind of things make sense. Like my body should not be broken, but it's kind of got some broken parts.
Would you say that you have hands of a person that avoided manual labor their whole life?
Yes. Yeah, I would say so. Well, you can say that's from squatting.
I also have hands.
And deadlifting. You definitely don't do any of those, but no, I would say, okay, according to my Aura ring that I haven't been wearing all day, I am 2 years younger than my actual age, my cardiovascular health. But I would say that my mental health is not.
But that's what I'm talking about. You get yourself all worked up about these games, your bets.
No,
you do, and what people say
to you. I'm on literal cruise control right now. We've got Houston in the Final Four. We've got Florida in the Final Four. Like, if Houston somehow pulls off a miracle upset and Florida beats Auburn, I basically have the college football playoff 2.0 in my hands, and I just get to sit back and relax.
Did you bet Minwoo Lee in the golf tournament last week? You didn't? That was one of Wes's plays. Wes.
Well, you didn't give it to us. Now, did you?
I'm responsible for giving you Wes's plays.
Your job is to give it to our audience.
They're on the internet.
You don't do much else for the show.
Wes doesn't work for our show. I
didn't say you did, but you gave us the loser a couple weeks ago.
Well, he can't win the golf.
It's like the UFC. You only give Louis and JH the winners, and then you give me and Louis' dad the losers.
That's not what I heard. I heard that Mr. D'Onofrio. I heard that Big Lou, Mr. D'Onofrio, was telling some stories about that weren't true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying it's never fails to exist. That's why my buddy Joe texts me, do we have any UFC losers today? Because that's the only ones we ever get.
I looked up that account to see how much money was up this year. It's a lot.
Just fuck off. Can we talk about the Final Four? Because you are going to piss me off now.
It's up about as much as the stock market is down today, thanks to Kelly. Thank you.
Yes, it's all my fault the stock market is down today. Yes.
So let's go to last weekend. How'd you do last weekend? I didn't really hear from you that much.
I was all right. I only had a couple of plays. Houston first half was very easy. And
which game was that?
Against Tennessee.
Yeah. So
think about that for a second.
Thursday night, we were going to win a lot if Arkansas beat Texas Tech. And I still don't really understand how they didn't win that game, but they didn't. So then Thursday was kind of a wash. We didn't do well because you had all the parlays from Thursday into Friday. The favorites went 8-0 in the Sweet 16 against outright, excuse me. So we didn't really do well. And then Saturday, we were set for this enormous win. And Florida, Texas Tech lost the game, I guess, apparently. That was awful. That was the worst moment of the tournament by far. Because that game was completely
You mean the best. I will take that all day. I was at dinner for Johnny Detroit's birthday, and they were down like 6 or 7. I tweeted out, hey, you know what? It was fun while it lasted, Florida. And then
that's not all you said. Hold on a second.
Walter Clayton Jr.
That's not all you said. You made an SEC joke.
Of course. Because, they're tired from their rough SEC schedule.
So you don't think the SEC had a successful tournament, getting 7 teams to the Sweet 16 and 2 to the Final Four?
I didn't say that.
So then what's your argument?
My argument is everybody just jerks off the SEC all the time, and I'm just kind of over it.
But they were the best conference this year.
Maybe we're going to find out. Maybe it was actually the ACC. If Duke wins it all, are the ACC fans going to come out and chant ACC? No, because that's loser behavior. If Houston somehow wins the whole thing, are Big 12 fans going to come out and chant Big 12? No, they won't.
You will.
No, I would not.
You're the only weirdo that would do that. All right, so then Saturday sucked because Florida won, I guess. I still don't really understand how that happened. Sunday was really good. Everybody was on Tennessee. Tennessee +3, and we took a lot of money on the over in that game. And then we did okay in the last game. It was sort of a wash. Obviously, if Michigan State had won, it would have been better. But we did okay. We survived it. We survived March, and everybody's really worried about the books. They're concerned about how we're doing. We did get through the month. Don't worry about us anymore. Don't worry. We're okay. And now we're going to the Final Four, and everybody's betting on Florida and Duke. Everybody. And I don't blame them because the favorite wins every game in this tournament. I don't like what – why wouldn't you bet on Florida and Duke? Florida is getting – about 2/3 of the tickets, a little bit less than 2/3, and Duke is getting almost 3/4 of the tickets in the late game. And I know we're going to need Houston big in the late game, but we're going to need Auburn big in the first game because everyone's on Florida.
Yeah, I really wish that game was second. That's what sucks. I think I would have.
Why?
Because so if Houston and Duke played first, right, and we didn't hedge our Houston ticket, then
talk about that.
Depending on the outcome of that game, let's say Houston upsets Duke, then I would let that Florida 40-1 ticket ride.
Because you'd already have Houston in the title game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense, actually. That's a good answer. But, obviously the Duke game is always second because they always structure it to the game they think will get the bigger ratings will be the last.
Of course.
So Kelly and we've got $500. Well, Kelly, I, and our producers, John Hoagland, a.k.a. The Unit, Louis D'Onofrio, who almost got fired a couple weeks ago, but we managed to keep him on the team. It was close. We've got 500 at 10-1, and we've got a ticket where we've rolled over the money, and it's up to 1582, I think, 1582 and change. So the question is, let's talk about the early cash out thing first, because it really proves that what Kelly was saying on the show a week or two ago was right.
You mean what I've been saying for like 3 years?
The early cash out option for our ticket is, I want to say Louis said it was $750. Is that correct? $750 something. And just rolling it over, we've gotten double that. So that should tell you that Kelly is right about what she said about early cash out. You want to brag about how right you were.
CT's son, his new baby that I won the $250 on, that I bet Florida for him so I could steal CT's thunder and have him have his first ticket. It was $250.
First bet for CT's son so that CT couldn't do it himself?
Yes.
What a shame. That sucks.
Listen,
that's
7-1 on Florida. I bet $250. Guess what the early cash out is?
$250 and 7-1. It's probably like less than $500.
Yeah, $485.
Yeah.
What?
Well, that's not very good, and it really shows you. Now, last year when Kelly and we rolled over Connecticut, and it paid considerably less than the future bet. And it was like a really bad example of the rollover method. Now, I think this year is actually an outlier in the other direction. Because if we took our 1582, hold on, get my jumbo calculator out, and you can bet him at like plus 230 right now, we'd be over 5,000 with another game to play on Monday night, in which a game that I believe they would be an underdog in that game as well. So the rollover could pay 10 or 11,000, like double what the future bet paid, which says that 10-1 was actually a terrible future bet to make. If the rollover pays 20-1, that was a really bad bet. So yeah. I think what you're actually seeing is an outlier in both directions. It shouldn't
really. You think it's that big of an outlier? I mean, I've always been told to roll it over, and the best part about rolling it over is right now we could just say, okay, we're done. We're going to take our little nominal Houston profit and say we're taking our Xbox and going home.
Yeah, so we're up like 1,000, like a little under $1,100 so far, and I think the discussion, I mean, not that, I mean, obviously that's inconsequential money to Kelly, right? It means nothing. But I don't even know if she would bend over to pick up that amount of money. Could shorten her later years. So we could roll over the whole ticket, and we think if they win, well, I know if they win on Saturday, it'll be over $5,000. And we could stop there, right, if we wanted to. Or we could roll it over again against probably Florida or Auburn or one of those two on Monday and be around like 10 or 11,000. Or we could stop right now, take $1,000 profit. Or the idea that I liked the best was to take off 1,000 so that we're free rolling this weekend and bet the remainder, which I think was like $582 on Houston at the whatever the biggest number is, probably like 225, 230, something like that. And then that way, if Houston does lose, and I think they're going to lose, then at least we wouldn't have lost any money. But it's up for conversation. I think we have to decide as a group. Kelly likes to press. Is that safe to say, Kelly?
I think Houston has a real opportunity here to be able to beat Duke. But
okay,
what the hell do I know? Dogs don't win outright. Dogs just don't win outright anymore. So
I think this Duke team reminds me of what we saw with Connecticut the last 2 years. Their games are just not even competitive. They win every game easily. Even the Arizona game, Arizona covered that game on, I think that was Thursday night.
Yeah.
But there was never a moment in that game where you thought Arizona could win. There was never a time. There's never a time where Duke is in any kind of danger. And that's why
I don't know. I think this could be like 65-63 Houston final and nobody would be shocked.
Well, that's the only way Houston can win.
Well, if you look at their three losses, so I just opened up Ken Palm. Kentucky 77-72, KU 75-72, Clemson 77-71. So I guess I'm actually wrong. I don't think it has to be played in the 60s.
When were the Kentucky and Kansas games?
November.
Yeah. And Duke has a team that's led by a group of freshman players. Cooper Flagg, I didn't even realize until this weekend that Cooper Flagg actually reclassified and he should be a senior in high school right now. That's pretty remarkable. I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
But obviously, their team is very young. They got better as the season went on, and now they're just rolling through people. I mean, if you and John and Louie all think Houston is live to win, then we should just roll the whole thing out there and try to go for the big score. But if that's the point is, this is why the rollover method is better than futures. Because you have this choice. If we had a future ticket like we do with our other $500, we can either cash it out for $750, or we have to hedge against it. With Duke as a pretty big favorite, they're minus 265 on the money line here. But with the rollover, we actually already have the money in the account, and we can just take it away. That's why I just think it gives you a lot more options, and it actually makes you more money, except for UConn last year. Kelly, are you ordering the Wi-Fi extender?
Yeah. Do you need an Ethernet cable too? And do you want 25 or 50 foot?
I don't give a shit.
And see, and he's frozen. So I got both of those. I already ordered it, but I was saving that line about the Ethernet cable. I'll spend the $6. As far as what we do here. I'm not going to be there on Saturday. I'll be there Monday.
Yes.
But I have access to be able to bet it after the Florida game. So because I said, for me, my answer could change about Houston. Look, if Florida ends up blowing out Auburn, I could just be like, all right, I want to roll Houston. That doesn't mean you guys have the same answer. I mean, because we have a team ticket, I think majority rules. So obviously I'll do what you guys want to do, but now I'm kind of thinking, all right, what do we have? Do you think we have 20 minutes in between games?
Yeah, I'd say it's at least 20. I think it's at least 20. I think it's 5:30.
You guys are both, you and JH are both in Vegas.
Yeah.
Lou's in Tennessee. I'm in Florida. Between
easily
all
make a
four
bet
of
on
us,
yeah.
in between the game, I think we could figure out somewhere whether we just want to roll over our profits and take our dime back, or whether we want to let the whole thing ride. I think my answer might be dependent on what happens in the first game.
Okay, that's fair.
Let's put it this way. If Florida were to blow Alabama out and I had no sweat at all, I think Auburn, blow out Auburn.
Okay.
I think I would have a lot less reservation and just say, let's gamble. But that doesn't mean that you guys all agree.
I feel like you kind of always want to just gamble. No, is that not? No, you disagree. You're nodding. No.
Look, I'm not a big hedge person. I understand wanting to guarantee yourself some money.
This isn't hedging. This is just saying we've won money. We don't think we're going to win again. It only makes sense if you think Duke is very likely to win. Otherwise,
Duke. I mean, what's the implied odds? What did you say?
Well, of course they. No. I'm not even. I said that wrong. I mean, if you think Duke is going to win this game comfortably, it's crazy to just throw away your money.
What's Duke's money line?
We have minus 265 on the money line. I don't really
know.
So
that's 72.5% essentially.
Okay. Well, that's pretty likely.
Yeah.
No, in fact, that's very likely. So.
But your money line, I think, is going to be priced a little differently than it normally would, because all you guys have been doing is getting killed on money line parlays for the last month.
No doubt, man. And we just narrowly missed. We would have had a big parlay going to Duke already. We had a guy that had a big parlay yesterday, and the final leg was Duke. But the final leg last night to get to that Duke leg was Dodgers run line.
Woo!
And the Dodgers actually won by 1 run. Ohtani walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th. Thankfully, nobody was on base. If they had won by 2, that parlay ticket, which was pretty significant, would be live. And we'd already be dealing a higher money line than this.
Well, he'll be back tonight with some giant favorite Yankees run line, Dodgers run line. I mean, there's still plenty of time.
I think that's what we're talking about, though. Like, this line could go up as we get to Saturday, especially the money line, and especially if Florida wins, because there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to parlay Florida and Duke together. I mean, it worked all last weekend. I'm not even making fun.
It's worked basically this whole tournament.
I mean, I think when I got in here on Tuesday, which was April 1st, I put together some notes about March for the executive bosses. And one of the things I noticed was we had a negative hold percentage on college basketball parlays for the month of March.
Shocker.
That was pretty unusual. We did very well on straight bets. We actually lost on college basketball parlays in March. That's tough.
At no surprise to 99% of the people listening to the show. All right, so let's go to the first game.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, because I think that my answer on the Houston game is going to be completely dependent on this Florida ticket. And I just said I don't like to hedge, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't guarantee myself some money. $40,000 is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So if I could guarantee myself 20,000, right? Like if I bet how would you, because Brett and I had this conversation last night on my way to dinner. How would you hedge this Florida ticket?
If Florida wins,
would you try to find a 3 on Auburn, or would you take a 2.5 with Auburn?
Let's pretend that Florida wins a game. And then we'll go back to that question. If Florida wins a game, you're already so invested in Houston in the late game, because Houston winning improves your hedge on Monday so much. You already are a huge Houston fan because of your Florida ticket. It actually doesn't make any sense to press even more money on Houston. You already need them huge. Have you thought about that? Because Florida.
I've been thinking of, you wonder why I'm all stressed out because I've been like pondering, like, look, this last month hasn't been great. I lost my ass on the cruise and blackjack, and hopefully that changes in Vegas. Maybe I hit a NFL slot machine or two on there. But I think right now, I would say I need the money more right now than I did in December when I bet this ticket. But I don't need the $1,000 back. I just want to guarantee myself. I'd love to walk away with 25 grand.
I'm just saying that if Florida wins, you've just become this huge Houston fan, irregardless of our bets and what we have going on. That has nothing to do with it, right? Because if Houston wins, Florida is favored Monday night.
Yeah.
If Duke wins, you got to go into Monday night as a dog, and
let's talk about that.
That makes it so much harder. Let me find those numbers, but that makes it so much harder for you to hedge. Is what I'm trying to say. If they're a dog in that game, it's just gonna be a lot harder for you. It's gonna be a lot less comfortable for you.
Yeah, it is, and that's where I'm kind of in this conundrum because I do think Florida can beat Auburn. And I think,
but I think that you're going to see some sharp guys take Auburn in that game. I think because what would this line have been if Auburn and Florida played 2 months ago?
Well, Florida was what, an 11-point underdog at Auburn in February?
Yeah, I mean I don't remember exactly.
But since then, Florida or Auburn dropped the last two in the regular season. They lost to Tennessee in the second round of the SEC tournament.
Yeah,
and sure, they had some nice second halves versus Michigan and Michigan State, but I don't know. I'm not sure about Johnny Broome. How healthy is he?
See, I would actually argue that of the 4 teams in the Final Four, Florida was the only one that really looked like they almost got tripped up on the way to San Antonio. They could have easily lost that game against Connecticut if they'd called that foul when Caravan went to the basket.
And then they had a nice bounce-back game against Maryland. And they almost could have lost again.
Well, yeah, they probably should have lost to Texas Tech. So they had 2 very significant scares, whereas Duke just rolled into the Final Four. Not even a question. Auburn was trailing in the second half against Michigan in the Sweet 16, but then they turned it on. They beat Michigan State very comfortably. Houston had 1 scare, the Purdue game on Friday night in the Sweet 16. Great out-of-bounds play. They win at the end of the game. And then they beat I thought that was probably the most impressive performance.
That was a really good game.
I thought Tennessee was really good. I thought that was going to be a really tough game for Houston. And our bet was only like minus 150, something like that. So for Houston to just blow them out like that, it was pretty impressive stuff. So I don't know that you've got 4 teams. I wrote this down. 4 teams are in the all-time Ken Pom top 10. Duke is his number 2 team ever. Houston is his number 6 team ever. Florida is number 8 team ever. And Auburn is his number 10 team ever. So according to Ken Pom, this is the greatest weekend of college basketball
ever
since he's had his database. But keep in mind, the number 1 team on that list, 1998-1999 Duke. What happened to them? They lost to Connecticut in the final.
Yeah, they did.
That team, Hamilton, Clemeen, Jake Dawson's Creek Voskuhl, Jim Calhoun's first title team. Oh, that's what they called him. Jim Calhoun's first title team. They beat Duke. They were like a 9.5-point dog in that game. In Florida, too.
Wow.
Yeah. Duke.
I don't remember they were 9.5-point dogs. I vaguely even remember the game.
Maybe I'm making that up.
Maybe you are. But tell me, okay, so what is the point spread, Duke versus Florida? Because I've got a couple different power ratings that I like to look at as well.
Duke will be, I don't think it's much different than what we said a few weeks ago. I think Duke would be probably like a 3.5, 4-point favorite in that game, something like that. I don't think it's that far off of what we were. And I think Houston would be a small dog to Florida. So, yeah, it actually doesn't really make sense for you if Florida does win to push the Houston ticket. Why would you do that? If anything, you'd want to be betting on Duke. Yeah. All
right. Let's go back to Auburn plus 2.5. I don't know if I'm going to get a 3. I look at my odds on the 3, and I don't think there is any.
There were some 3s this morning because I had a mutual friend of ours who has a big Florida ticket pending right now, big Florida ticket like yours. He was asking me if I thought we would go to 3. I told him I don't think we will because some of our people here like Auburn They think Auburn being a dog here is probably not right. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but I don't really think we're expecting to go to 3. If this was the late game and Duke won the first game, and then we had all the parlay action rolling into Florida, maybe. But I don't see why we would move off this number in the early game unless a really, really sharp group came in and bet Florida. There just would be no other reason to do it. So if you see that number move, that means we must have taken some very respected money in the next 48 hours.
Okay.
What do you want to do? Do you want to do the mailbag?
We can do the mailbag.
You want to order more stuff online?
I'm going to. I got to get some clothes for Vegas.
How many Amazon packages are piled up at your door every day?
Yes, every single day. It's just a travesty because I just hate going to the store. And it's so easy to just order stuff to your house. It's a real problem. I don't even want to know how much money I spend there.
It sucks when like the Amazon, not sucks, but when Amazon is cheaper than the store.
Oh, they definitely are.
I know they are. And it just shows up at your door when you get home from work and it's actually saves you money. It's kind of hard not to do it.
I went to Ace Hardware, like a little tiny local Ace Hardware today to get those little stick-on lights for my mom, to get some gardening gloves, to get a little 2-gallon bucket, and like one other thing. First of all, they didn't have any small gardening gloves. They only had large. Then they didn't have like the hose sprayer that I wanted, like the wand one to water your plants. So I bought both of those on Amazon, by the way, which were like $7 cheaper. And then the sticky lights were like $30 for 4. They were $18 on Amazon. So I went ahead and added them too. So I walk out of Ace Hardware with a stupid little plastic 2-gallon bucket. Like, I'm sorry. All I have to do is wait till tomorrow. It's not like I have to wait a week. I have to wait till tomorrow.
Oh, it's in some cases I've ordered stuff while I've been at work and it's been at my doorstep when I got home from work.
Oh my God.
Did you buy anything for your mom to protect her? Like, let's say some guy throws like a Molotov cocktail through her back window. Would there be anything there that you could get at Ace Hardware to defend against that? What would you do in that scenario?
Oh, you're ridiculous. She's going to be fine. We live in Florida. I live in a very safe area. No one is going to vandalize her Tesla. Like, she's going to be all right. Actually, today, even Brett said he wanted to get a Cybertruck. I was like, those things are so ugly. But when he took my mom to get her car, she had to go to St. Petersburg because they didn't have one at our dealership that she wanted. There was like a bunch of protesters and I just laughed and I said, what's going on? Are you guys okay? And he's like, yeah, your mom flipped him off. And I'm like, I cannot for the life of me. Here's my mother, KU journalism major, bra burning hippie,
right?
Liberal JFK voter.
JFK?
Probably, yeah, JFK was a Democrat. Did we forget that?
Yeah, I know that, but he died like over 50 years ago. Your mom
voted. That was the first election she got to vote in.
Okay, you just dated Susan.
Yeah.
Take that up with Susan, not me. Okay,
and
I'm sorry.
Like, it's just like protesting the Vietnam War. Like, I have made fun of my mother my entire existence, and now I realize I'm my mother. We agree on all of these things politically, even though we were so different. And now she's a Tesla driver. She's like so green.
Andrew Babakidis is a young man that works for us. He calls them boosts. And he was sending me, or he's showing me these videos. One of his buddies moved to Seattle. He works for Tesla. And there's people that just stand outside this. I don't know if it's the warehouse or the sales floor. I'm not sure. But they spit on the windows at this Tesla store. And
I'll tell you the real reason why she got the Tesla. It wasn't because of Elon. It wasn't because it's electric. It's because it's self-driving. So she just now has to type in where she's going, you put your hand on your lap, and it just drives you there so that she doesn't have to worry about all of these really bad drivers around her.
I just got this alert. Broom says I'm going to be 100% for the Final Four.
Well, he has to say that. He has to say that.
I heard they got
Let me see your MRI, bro. Let me see it.
I heard they got Dick Vitale. He believed a fake story about Broom being out, but it was April Fool's Day.
Oh no.
I got April Fool's because the Arizona State football account tweeted out a picture of a maroon field, and I was like, "Oh shit, that looks cool." So I sent it to my friend that went to Arizona State. I thought it was real. It looked cool. It was April Fool's Day.
Oh my God, you guys are so bad at this.
It was believable. It was the field looked cool. It was a good idea. They should actually do that.
Yeah, and Viva tweeted out they were gonna have Zen seltzer. Like,
yeah. Naked City.
I actually would be okay with like a nicotine seltzer. Maybe that would help take the edge off.
Naked City emailed everybody, Naked City Pizza on Paradise. They emailed everybody saying dollar wings, April 1st through 13th. I don't think it was April Fool's, though. I think it was serious. Going to find out on April 7th.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to go to Edge Steakhouse after the game, and you're like, no, I don't get it. Like, I want to treat you to a nice steak dinner, and you're like, I want to go eat wings.
Yeah, with all my buddies. I had dinner at Edge on Friday. It was great. Edge is great. I had a great time.
Fine. Okay, goodbye. Oh, wait, we have to do the mailbag. Never mind.
Yeah.
All right. Sportsnet Chill on X says, will Paige Buchers win a national championship? I'll answer that. Nope.
I don't even know if I know how to pronounce her name. I know it's not Buchers. I think it's Paige Beckers.
Beckers with a U? So the guy spelled it wrong?
I think he did. I think he put the E in front of the U. Well, I know he put the E in front of the U, but I think the correct spelling is U in front of the E. So I think at Sportsnet and Chill, he screwed you on this one.
Probably. All right.
But I think UConn is, minus 175 to win the women's title here at the Westgate.
So I got yelled at by my trainer because for some reason they did a women's bracket at the gym.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, can you fill this out for me? So, of course, I'm like picking crazy underdogs. I picked K-State to go to the Elite Eight, and that was about the only thing I got right. And so he was like really mad at me because he's in second to last place. He told me that this morning. He's like, I'm in like second to last place. I'm like, sorry, man. You think I know women's basketball?
Well, I always make jokes about the women's game having no upsets and just being all the favorites. But this year, the men had 4 1 seeds. The women only had 3 1 seeds and a 2 seed. So really, there's more parity.
And K-State should have probably beaten USC, but I don't. Whatever. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, would they have beat Connecticut in the regional final? USC, even if Watkins doesn't get hurt, and that was awful, that sucked. They would have been a dog against Connecticut in the regional final.
Yes,
Connecticut's the best team, even though they were a 2 seed.
All right, Steve Murin, 73 on X says, are you hedging your 40-1 bet? Steve, I think we talked about the last 27 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
I will let you know in the next
Where are you going to watch
30 hours?
Where are you watching the game on Saturday?
Well, that is also up for debate.
Okay.
So remember I told you about going to the neighbor's house, right? And he's a big Florida fan.
Yeah.
And I like left at halftime and I was like, and Brett tried to come over and I was like, get the fuck out of here. And he was really mad at me. And me and Fred were like watching the game and then Florida just took over. Well, Fred started texting me and was like, where are you during the Texas Tech game? And I was like, fuck this team. I'm out meeting Seafood Tower right now for Johnny Detroit's birthday. Anyway, I'm kind of wondering if I need to watch the game with Fred on Saturday.
You feel like you've made a nice home for Brett. You know, like Brett comes home and it's just like, get the fuck out of here.
It wasn't our house. It was the neighbor's house. I kicked him out of Fred's house.
You kicked him out of another person's house and he had to go back.
Fred agreed with me. He was like, as soon as Brett walked in, you got hit a monster 3 and out. I was like, get the fuck out. And Fred was like, yeah, Brett, get the fuck out.
That sucks for Brett. Okay. I think
we called him right after the game and was like, hey, come back and hang out with us.
Oh, you're allowed to come back? That sucks, dude. I mean, Brett is such a nice guy. What's the matter with you?
Listen. He did the right thing. Okay.
I think you should make a nicer home for Brett. I think every man, I'll speak for every man.
I made a really nice home for Brett. What are you talking about?
They'd all like to come home and not be told to get the fuck out of their own house. It
wasn't his own house.
I don't want to get out of my house either for simply existing. I don't want to walk into somebody's house.
You could have walked in with me, but when you walk in and the team that I'm betting against hits a monster 3, I need you to go. It's not good.
That's right. I don't think she's going to make it to 55, dude.
All right. Wise Guy Wager on X says, do you think we see the same as we did with Bond, Sosa, McGuire, and 73 home runs is finally reached? Would love to see the MLB make a comeback like the mid to late 90s. I don't know. Ariel Epstein was talking about this on her Prop Queen podcast about the torpedo bats.
Yeah, some guy some nerd on the Yankees designed these new bats. That's what it is? I
don't fully understand it, but I guess everybody's mad because it's the Yankees. But I think if it was like a crappy team like the Rockies or White Sox, nobody would give a shit.
Doesn't everybody have access to the bats? I guess I don't really. That's the part I don't understand, because I know there's players on other teams that use them.
Well, they were obviously approved by Major League Baseball.
I've seen, and I'm not a Yankee fan, but I don't think there's any reason to be angry with the Yankees here. It sounds like they were really smart. They hired this guy. He invented something that every team has access to. and you have a choice to use it or not, right? I don't think anybody's getting 73 home runs.
Okay. TS Plant on X says, what are your thoughts on the tournament as a whole, and how do you view the convergence of these 4 statistically superior teams in the Final Four? We basically answered all of these questions during the regular show.
Yeah, we did, but I think that there's too much. I will say this: I think there's too many people that are jumping to conclusions based on this tournament, saying it's just been one tournament. So it's
ruined. College basketball is ruined. It's over. College football is ruined. It is a free-for-all. Who's got the most money? You're going to be able to buy the superior teams.
You've got 4 elite teams, 4, according to Ken Palm, top 10 teams in college basketball in the last 25 years are going to play at the same arena this weekend.
Great. But guess what? Now that's all it's ever going to be. It's going to be the same teams with the biggest pockets that get the best transfers, that have the most money to pay these guys.
I think that, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know that Kansas paid Dickinson, if not the most.
That's because they're dumb.
Well, if not the most of any one player, it was certainly up near the top. And their team, and I forget the name of the young man, but your school paid a kid a bunch of money, and they didn't
even Hawkins, yes.
So I'm just saying that even in this era where you have to,
but Duke can buy an entire team. Florida can buy an entire team. Do you know how much money the university? I live in Florida now. Do you know how much money the University of Florida has? People talk about Miami money. There is so much money at some of these schools.
Why would you give you any insight into the money?
Why are the fuck are you doxing me? Louis, you're going to have to fucking bleep that out.
Oh, shit.
I also own a house outside of Gainesville. You forgot that.
I think you did say earlier in the show. I think you said
no, I did not.
12 restaurants.
There's an Ocean Prime in Tampa, too.
Oh, okay. Get it out of the show, Louis. Next question. Sorry.
Neil Schneider, 2 on X says, still alive in NCAA Survivor. Going to be a split at the end. I have Houston and Florida remaining. Didn't want to save Duke at the end like everybody else. 12 people have Florida and Houston remaining. Which team would you save to the end to have the lowest amount of splits? This is tough. I've gotten this text from 5 or 6 people who are still alive. Mark Zeno, still alive. And I said, you got to zig when others zag if you actually want to win the thing. Yeah. But you're right. I think it's going to be a split no matter what, which is insane.
So I guess you got to go Houston Saturday and then hope Florida beats Auburn and go Florida Monday. That's the zig versus the zag?
No, I think the zig is to use Florida and hope Houston beats Duke and beats Florida. That's what nobody else is going to do.
You need Houston to beat Duke and then beat Florida. Yeah, you're right. That is better.
Which is going to be very difficult. I understand that, but I do believe that is going to be the one that has the least amount. I have 2 left in our oh no, I don't. That one's been all used. Never mind. Nope.
Don't ask us for advice because we are already out.
I am out. I'm out. And I've gotten fucking killed in my $500 pick'em. Just absolutely throttled. Do you want to know? So we had to pick every game. Let me tell you how bad it's been for me.
That doesn't sound fun, honestly. The big
hold on. Let me tell you. It has been very bad for me.
Okay. That doesn't sound fun.
No, I don't even know where to see my record. It was like 12-30 the other day. I'm like,
it's not even possible.
I don't know what it is. Hold on. Let me go overall.
12-30. How many games have there been? There've been like
Hold on. KIV.
There've been 64.
I am 23-37.
64.
Isn't that disgusting? Because you have to pick every single game. That is gross.
That's not very good, man.
No, it's not. But that's what happens when dogs don't win.
No, dogs never win.
Or even don't cover. Anyway.
Kelly's coming to Vegas on Monday. I might see her. So you're not
even gonna be at the SuperBook. You're like, why would I come to work on my day off? I don't know.
I said, why would I come to dinner at the place I work on my day off after I've been at a bar drinking? And I stand by that comment. That would be a very dumb decision. So you're gonna be shooting videos with our social media guy, Johnny D. Unit Hoagland, announcing our contests: college contest, super contest gold, survivor contest with a buy-in of $5,000.
Crazy.
Starting this fall. You ready for that?
It's crazy. I can't believe I've even had former proxy customers texting me, asking me about it. I'm like, $5,000 is insane. Insane.
You get 200 entries. That's $1 million. And I think
so. Me, you, CT, and Joff, we're gonna team up and do one. Well, I guess
Yeah,
you can't,
I'm
can
gonna
you?
enter my own contest.
You can't. I just realized you can't. That
I can't
sucks.
do it.
So
I
it's going to
can't
be me, CT, and Joff. Damn. And we're going to win, and you're going to be left out.
but I'll be giving you guys.
I'm going to text those guys right now. I can't wait to do it without
But I think there is an element of people that like the contests that have a smaller field. They feel like there's more of a chance to win versus these really big fields. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to do Circus Survivor next year. I think it's great. But to have that many entries, it's like being in the lottery. Whereas, you got a contest with 200 or 300 people in it, you might win.
Yeah, I can't wait to do this. I text our group, by the way.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see the text. I got it.
You got it? You got it too? Then you're going to get left out. It's going to be great.
That's great.
I'm so happy. I can't wait to win $1 million and you get none of it.
I'm going to get left out. You losers are going to lose in the first week. You guys are going to play like the Bengals or something and go out week 1. And then I'm going to laugh in your face, KIV.
First of all, I've never went out that early.
I have. Joff and I had the Bengals against the Steelers in the Circus Survivor contest week 1, maybe 3 years ago, and they lost in overtime. Yeah.
Sucks to suck.
It did suck. It honestly
it's
sucked.
Like your Wi-Fi.
Because
sucks to suck.
Get that pen out of your mouth. Stop being so frazzled. I'll see you in a couple of days.
Can you tell how much I chew on these things throughout the day?
You're a nervous Nelly, man. Look at you. You are.
Life is good.
I'll see you Monday.